part 4 of the series and the most human one. The prior session ended on a hard line. A decision you can't explain is one you can't defend. This session picks up the other half. Even a decision you can explain isn't automatically one people should trust. Set the tension early. Transparency has become the industry's favorite word because it's the easy one. You can buy it, publish it, check the box. Trust is harder because it's something other people grant you and only when you've earned it. Tell the room the through line for the next 10 minutes. We'll walk 5 obligations: bias, privacy, consent, explainability, and institutional responsibility that transparency by itself can never satisfy. I want them to fill the gap between 2 questions. Transparency answers what happened. It's a record. Trust answers, can I rely on you? It's a relationship. A surveillance system can be perfectly transparent. It can tell you exactly how it tracked you, scored you, and ranked you, full disclosure. And you trust it less, not more. So transparency is the floor you have to stand on. Necessary, non-negotiable, but standing on the floor isn't the same as building the house. The rest of this talk is the house. Pause on the 2-question card. It's the frame everything else hangs on. This is the failure mode I see most in mature organizations. They confuse having disclosed with having earned. 3 versions of it. First, the artifact-alibi, a model card or privacy policy, goes up once and becomes the institution's evidence of good faith, frozen in time while the system keeps changing. Second, volume masquerading as clarity. 40 pages of legalese is technically transparent and functionally opaque. If a reasonable person can't understand it, you haven't disclosed, you've hidden in plain sight. Third, and the most quietly unethical, disclosure that transfers the burden. We told you in the terms shifts responsibility onto the individual with the least power and the least information. The bottom line is the line to land. Transparency without obligation is an alibi, not accountability. Here's the map for the rest of the talk, 5 obligations, and the verb under each one matters more than the noun, fairness. You detect and reduce bias. You don't just declare awareness of it. Privacy. You protect by design before data is collected, not after a breach. Consent, it has to be genuine and revocable, not a checkbox. Explainability. In the affected person's terms, not the engineer's. Responsibility, the institution owns the outcome. Full stop. Notice that transparency isn't one of the 5. That's deliberate. Transparency runs underneath all of them as the floor. These 5 are what you build on top. We'll take them in turn. Fairness is where good intentions go to die quietly. The first trap is proxies. You can remove race or gender from the inputs and still encode them perfectly through zip code, surname, or school. The model finds the proxy you forgot. Second, awareness is not a control. We know there may be biases is a sentence in a report, not a safeguard. Controls are measurement plus mitigation plus monitoring. Third, fairness is plural and it moves, you test it across each affected group and you retest because a model that was fair at launch drifts as the world and the data change. And the 4th point is the ethical core. The burden of proof sits with the institution deploying the system, not with the person harmed by it. If you can't prove it's fair, you haven't earned the right to deploy it. That's the standard from my financial services years. Regulated services don't get the benefit of the doubt, and neither should AI. 2 pillars paired because they protect the same thing from 2 directions, the person's data and the person's agency. Privacy by design means the protection is architectural, decided before a single record is collected. Minimize what you take, bind it to a stated purpose, and protect it through its whole life. You can't bolt privacy on after the fact. By then, the exposure already happened. Consent is the one organizations most often fake. Real consent has four properties: informed in language a normal person understands, specific to a purpose rather than a blanket grant, revocable as easily as it was given, and freely given, not extracted as the non negotiable price of using the service. If withdrawing consent is buried 5 menus deep while granting it was one tap, that asymmetry tells you it was never really consent. It was compliance theater. Explainability is the pillar most often faked with sophistication. A chat plot or a feature importance chart feels like explanation, but ask who it's for. It's for the data scientist, not for the person who just got denied a loan, a job, or a benefit. Contrast the two cards. The left is technically accurate and completely unusable by the person it affects. The right tells them what drove the decision in their language and, crucially, how to contest it. That last word is the whole point: contestability. An explanation that doesn't give the person a path to challenge the outcome isn't an explanation, it's a notification. Borrow the line from the last session. A decision you can't explain is a decision you can't defend. Now, add the corollary. A decision the person can't contest is a decision you haven't earned the right to make about them. This is the pillar that holds the other four up, and it's the one organizations most want to avoid because it ends with a name on a line. The algorithm decided has become the modern version of "I was just following orders," a way to diffuse responsibility until no one holds it. We don't accept it. The institution that deploys the system owns its outcomes. Three concrete commitments named ownership, a specific accountable human for each class of AI decision, because a committee is where accountability goes to dissolve. A right to redress. The affected person can appeal to a human and have an error corrected. And governance that outlives the vendor. Your oversight can't end when the contract does. The responsibility was never the vendor's to carry. This is the heart of human governed AI. The technology can be distributed, automated, and scaled. The accountability stays human and it stays home. I close the argument with the latter because the relationship between these ideas is sequential, not parallel. Rung 1, transparency, show what the system does. Most organizations plant their flag here and call it ethics. It's the floor. Rung 2, accountability. Own the outcomes, prove fairness, protect privacy, honor consent, explain the decision. This is the rung most stop short of because it costs real work and real ownership. Rung 3, trust. This one you don't get to award yourself. Trust is granted by the people affected, and only when the first two rungs are solid enough that they can both rely on you and challenge you. The honest message for the room: you can buy your way onto rung 1. You have to earn rungs 2 and 3. Land the contrast cleanly and let it sit. Transparency is what you show. Trust is what you earn. That's the sentence I want them carrying out of the room. Then the charge, which is just the 5 pillars in plain verbs: show the system, prove it's fair, protect the person, honor their consent, explain the decision, and stand behind it. If you're tying the whole series together here, the closing thought is this: across all 4 sessions, the scarce resource was never the technology. It was human judgment and the institutional courage to stay accountable for it. That's the entire premise of human governed AI.